Hi, my name is Melina Kondos and behind the camera is Kevin Quinn. We are with Black Hills Tour Company in Western South Dakota. We're excited to team up with Toms of Maine for their hashtag Nature Nurtures campaign. Today we're going to be taking you through the Badlands. We've got a couple of friends to keep us company. Doing what they do best. We are on the Castle Trail. Let's go see what we can find. It's been a cold winter, but I already see some wildflowers over here. The green of spring is just starting to come in.
So out in this area of Western South Dakota, it used to actually be part of a huge intercontinental sea that receded after some plate tectonics about 60 to 80 million years ago. And then since that time, further west in South Dakota is a mountain range called the Black Hills. And over the last 80 million years, it's deposited sediments out in this area. So that's what you're seeing here is all the sediments that were deposited as the Black Hills eroded down. And then a river came back through and eroded them out. So it'll kind of show you out that way where it drops down, you can see that river now. And then further up this way, it's grasslands where it's still high. So it's kind of like a giant canyon out in the middle of the prairie, this area.
The cool thing too about the Badlands is that they're always changing. So this is all really loose sedimentary rock, which means after a heavy rainfall, it continues to erode away. So they think these formations started to expose themselves about 100,000 years ago. And in another 100,000 years, or 500,000 years I should say, they think that they'll be gone again.
These can actually erode down inches a year in a really wet year like we had last year. So tons of fossils are found out in this area, so it's kind of famous for that. Because as this stuff erodes back, it shows animals that were trapped in mud or in riverbeds or further down in the intercontinental sea area, which isn't present in this area. It's further down into it. There's actually mosasaurs and, aquatic species of vertebrae found in there.
But we don't just find fossils. As you saw before, there's bison, we find pronghorn antelope, bighorn sheep, rattlesnakes, prairie dogs, deer.
Yes, there's loads of wildlife out here in the Black Hills and Badlands. Right there, something just ran down in a hole. I didn't quite get it.
You can probably hear the birds singing.
We kind of ventured off trail. We're going to go up here and try to show you a skull that I found last year that's fossilized from a sub-hyracoddon, which was like a hornless rhinoceros. So we're just off the Castle Trail here. You can see how it kind of drops down out over there. So that's why the town near here is called Wall. It's kind of like a Badlands wall. So it's one canyon wall on this side, more or less. It's kind of been eroded back in a spectacular way. This area right in here especially really kind of reminds me of being on the moon or something. But the Badlands are neat because you're allowed to go all over them. A lot of national parks you can't, venture off trail and stuff. But because this erodes down so much, every time it rains, it smooths back out and you can't even see footprints from anyone or anything like that. And so they allow you to kind of scramble all over them. Now, these aren't really like a hard rock. They're very hard to go straight up because they're very brittle. And it just crumbles away.
Yeah, look at this. And when it gets wet, it gets really sticky. They sort of call it like a bentonite clay.
It's got clay, and then it's got a lot of ash from over the years from different volcanic eruptions that have settled here. And then the ash also, you know, washes out from the higher elevation of the Black Hills down into this area. You know, as it would rain, all that would wash off. Here's the skull I was talking about a second ago. We were actually walking right by it, and I thought it was over on that other one. But when I showed pictures of this to one of the geologists down at the visitor center, he said it was probably a subhyacodon, which is a hornless rhinoceros, due to the very large teeth. You can tell this was a large herbivore because of the size of these teeth and how they're flat. Teeth tell a lot about the animals, what they ate, you know, the size of them, and, you know, really help them identify the different fossils that they find out here through the years. Now see, this area is a lot lower than what's above me. So this is tens of millions of years older than up there, because this was all deposited out over time, and then the river cut back through it. So the further down you are in the Badlands, the older you are at. And so these, I believe, lived about 40 to 50 million years ago. They were kind of right when the sea receded. It was actually really hot and tropical out here. It doesn't look like it today, but it went from hot to tropical to forested to less forested to less forested to kind of the arid land that it is today.
Let's take a look at this arid land. Kevin mentioned that you can usually see some striations in the rock. We're not in a part of the Badlands where you can see that as evidently, but we do find some core fossils. Let's check this out. There's a vulture flying high over there. Let's check it out.
So you can see why this is called a wall. How it kind of drops off. And then over the years how it's been eroded out, continues to get eroded out to the White River that's out there, kind of where the trees are more in the low part.
No, we're walking back and we just keep finding fossils.
Show this one up closer. See, this kind of has a tooth right here that's like a pig would have or something, maybe for rooting, you know, kind of like a longer front incisor. See the top of the jaw right here? Show right over here on this side. So see, this is the top jaw, and then the bottom.
Oh, it looks like there's one behind you too, Kev.
Oh, right in here. Yeah, part of that one. There's a bit more teeth and bone right back here on this too, that it's a smaller animal.
Oh yeah.
So either where maybe like a swamp or something was once that,
There they are.
you know, animals got caught in, or it's just how they washed down here.
Are these the black-eyed Susans that come back? There's a bird.
Western Meadow Lake.
He's in for us.
So it's making that sound.
Oh, look at all the cacti on there. We are almost to the end of the trail. We'll catch you there. Thanks for hiking and fossil hunting with us. We made it to the end of the trail. Make sure to follow #NatureNurtures for more of these awesome adventures from across the country. If you are ever in South Dakota, make sure that you check out the Badlands. From both of us, from Kevin and I at Black Hills Tour Company, thanks again. We're going to leave you with this awesome view of the beautiful Badlands.